Hey guys, welcome to another video. So, since we were talking about it in the Discord, I thought it was a good idea to go into a bit of ducking stuff and how I go about it, because I guess everyone has their own little methods. So yeah, I came up with this idea. Actually didn't kind of plan it for this, but yeah, I thought this will work for it. So you can probably hear it's kind of distorting, it's quite loud at the moment. And yes, so the first thing to look at really is the kick. And the kick, because it's quite a subby kick anyway, but it's also tuned to A, which is the key of the song. If you need to sort of have a look at tuning with drums, a really easy way of doing it is using Span, which is free, and yeah, it will basically, if you go to high res, it will tell you pretty accurately where, you know, it gives you right there at the bottom, it gives you a readout of what key is the fundamental of the kick. So that's really useful. You can do it with snares and stuff as well. Anyhow, so yeah, what I would use for getting a bit of room around the kick, well, the kick and the sub is like just an instant easy win to give yourself a bit more volume. Well, not a bit more volume, but like in this case, get rid of some of that distortion. So Duck, yes, I really like this plugin. Really simple to use, quite visual, and also this, which is free. You can go and find that on the internet as well. Mexoscope, it's really good. This is what I use to kind of just keep an eye on what the kick and the sub are doing together. So let's have a look with ducking turned off. And you can see across here that, you know, all the kicks look different, and that is definitely a bad sign. That's a sign that you've got phasing in the sub coming out of the kick. That's why the end of the kicks look really bad. And yeah, it's bad news. So let's try and sort that out with this. So this is a preset that I made myself, just a standard kick pattern, and I'll talk about the reasons about why I made it like this, but let's have a look at what that does. So you can see it's a lot more consistent. The kicks are actually looking like they're hitting similar kind of volume, and there's less of that phasing going on. And you can still see a little bit here and there. So with these curves, I've designed them like so that basically the sub is not sort of, it's not like a straight down and up thing, which, I don't know, if you're using something like LFO Tool or something, it's a lot less sophisticated. But yeah, the ability to draw these kind of envelopes is really useful for this, because you don't want the sub just to switch on and off, because your ears will hear it, and people listening to the song will hear it as well. Some of my older stuff, I just can't listen to it because, well, apart from the fact I hate it, yeah, I can't listen to it because it basically, you know, it's got this horrible ducking where it's sort of subs just switching off and on. So yeah, a little sort of smooth curve into, let's get those even. Yeah, a little smooth curve into the sub kind of subconsciously makes it sound a little more consistent with the tail of the kick, in my opinion. So when you turn it up really loud, it will sound a lot more like the ducking's not actually happening. It's less audible. You can still hear it's happening, but you can obviously play around with how quickly or how slowly you want the release to happen. And yeah, you can tune it, because every kick, you know, unless you're making all your kicks and using the same one, every kick is going to be different. And it's going to require like a slightly different curve and what have you, but this is a good starting point. And so yeah, this will have now got rid of quite a lot of that distortion. I mean, we're not even going particularly loud here. Right, so next thing, I mean, some people will duck the sub to the snare as well, because they're both very loud elements. You can do that if you wish. It's not something I really do. Just because, well, for a start, the snares that I'm kind of using at the moment are, you know, that's got nothing to do with the sub that's down here. Obviously you still will get that volume thing, and you can duck it if you want to, but I think the less ducking the better, really. Less is more in this case. Right, so also what I would do, let's stay on the drums for a bit. Take a look at all the elements here. So you've got so the first thing that's sticking out to me is the ride cymbals. They probably need some EQing and stuff, but I think, you know, some kind of almost perhaps musical ducking, or certainly like carving something out round the start of the snare. So what I would do is, this is quite a good thing in Pro Q3, is what you can do is you can put an EQ on each of these channels, and then you can have a look at where there's masking going on, and then you can decide how you want to deal with that. You can either, you know, deal with it with some EQ or some ducking perhaps, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So what I would do on this particular sound, because this is quite accurate, so obviously I'm going to turn that off. You can get kind of pretty accurate. So you could say, let's see, we're probably looking at about 2,800 to about 5,000. So you can just set that, and then we're only ducking this little bit here. And we can also set the attack and release, because it's a really short snare, doesn't need to be very long. And you can immediately hear that's sidechained to the snare, and it is it's ducking the frequency that was masking. Again, with this, less is more, I think, and I generally only sort of hover around this little bit here, because a little bit goes quite a long way with this stuff once you start mounting it up. Also, I think what I would do with this sound is, added to the track spacer, I would also do this, where I've set up a very basic thing just to knock the transients down. So the transients of my kicks and snares are going to be protected from this kind of constant ride noise which is going on. So let's listen to that. When you're carving all this stuff out as well, it's like you can be doing a very little amount, but once you do it to a lot of things, these little amounts will allow your transients of your drums to really poke through. So the next thing I'd look at is this little break here. You see there's a really, really big snap on the snare. And so I guess this isn't really ducking, this is more sort of like processing with a break, but I would use the same method probably. And look, you can see how much that is cutting out. And again, these little things will all add up, so yeah, so with like sound effects and stuff, they're quite a constant thing. You can either do something kind of musical with it, like do a kind of like, you know, LFO Tool-y kind of thing, or, I mean, I would probably use duck again. Just, you will barely even notice that that is, you know, losing any kind of information. Oh yeah, that was the other thing, these drums. So shakers are, yeah, they can be a bit problematic when the sort of, because they're very rarely like hi-hats where there's a sort of let's zoom in here. You can see there's not like a straight attack. It's like a very soft attack to each hit of the sound, and that can be a problem because when you get a kind of like whooshing sound into your snare, it reduces the impact of the initial transient of the snare. So with that, I would probably, you can see there's like a tiny little lead into snare. It's not really that bad. It can be way worse when you're using like a sort of loud tambourine or something. But yeah, to deal with that, I would probably put duck on, doing the same kind of thing, except before each snare I would just, I would pull that back, and you can just see what that's doing on there. The hit of the snare is now completely protected from this shaker, but it doesn't really feel like it's taken away from the shaker. I mean, you need to put the kick in as well. Yeah, so that's sort of generally how I do it with the drums. Yeah, with ducking, with vocals, very, 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 very much don't do that. For me, anyway, I think it's a really, it's really sort of like dangerous ground, because ducking vocals is just gonna sound really unnatural to my ears. If you know, there's probably people who disagree, and there's probably people who can do it, but not for me. What I would do though with the vocals is, so I've got this bus which is a load of sort of stuff sent to it, and then just a reverb on it. And on that bus, what I would do towards the end of the track, once I kind of know what's going on, I would put some track spacers on, you know, use the method from before with the checking the masking, particularly with stuff like the kick and the snare. So let's say we want to just duck that to the snare. So yeah, this is an advantage of using a bus, different buses for your effects, because you can then control all of it, and all of its ducking, rather than kind of like getting into individual channels and bits and bobs. You know, it can really help you out. So at a guess, we'll just say that, you know, we just want the reverb to, I mean, you can be quite heavy-handed with ducking with reverb, I think, personally. Yeah, and I generally am. I generally, you know, because it's such a constant sound that you don't want that just bleeding all over all the other shit in the tune. So, yeah. Yeah, another thing, you can actually say, you can actually sort of duck the reverb to the thing that it's to the source. So basically get it to react to the vocal itself. So yeah, that can you know, help a bit of clarity in your vocals and stuff like that, and you can really apply that to anything like a lead or whatever. I think that can just get you some really cool results. Another advantage with bussing stuff. So other constant things like this, I would 100% go through the same process. Check kind of like, you know, is this interfering with my snare? Is it interfering with my kick perhaps? Yes, there's some masking going on there. So I'd carve out some space with some ducking as well. Let's also take a look at, this is another option, laser. This was recommended to me by TB. It's less easy to control. It is good. It's definitely good. But I do think Track Spacer is better. So let's take a look at what this can do. So you've got attack and hold and release, and you can also alter the curve, and you can make them independent or do them linked together. So let's say we want to get rid of some of that mid-range. You can change the crossover here. So let's say around here to somewhere around here. Oh yeah, by the way, this, because it's an old piece of software, it can cause Logic to run slow. Right, so yeah, let's get pretty extreme with this. So you can kind of shape it to sort of like that. You get it pretty spot on to what the snare is doing. It's, you know, it's good. It's a good plugin, definitely. But I do definitely prefer. I prefer the combination of the other two, but I still do use this on some things. So yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh no, that's what I was going to show you. There's one more thing. So when you're working with vocals and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of musical elements, so we've got a piano and a synth here. Let's just have a look at the synth and the vocal, for example. I use the same technique, well, same tools for perhaps a slightly different technique. On the vocal channel, we'll have a look and see. So this pad is interfering with the vocal around the middle. So what I would do is use Track Spacer. And sidechain it to the vocal. Oops, what have we done there? Okay, yeah, fine. I mean, you can get pretty extreme with it, but as I said before, less is more. Definitely somewhere down here, definitely under 20%. Because you want to be like, you know, carving some of this stuff out with EQ. This is all stuff that I've just sort of thrown together really quickly. It's not really processed or anything. So yeah, there's other ways around it. But once you've done all of those sort of things, then yes, doing this kind of technique will, you know, get you a few percent better in your mix at the end. But really, you know, you need to be sort of dealing with the fundamental issues in the first place, which is masking and stuff like that. So anyway, that's a kind of, I don't know, was this a quick video or a long video? I don't know. 24 minutes, that's not bad, not bad. So yeah, that is my approach to ducking. Yeah, if you have any questions, ask me on Discord or in the comments on this video, and I will read them. Okay, so yeah, I hope that was useful in some way, and thank you very much for subscribing, and I will see you laters. Bye.